you to watch what effectively is pot night on CNN on Friday night. Coming up next, Michael Jackson's ex-wife testifies about his drug use. All the latest live from the courthouse.
Oh, that wasn't good. Sorry,
Get out of my way.
An angry Debbie Rowe there, Michael Jackson's ex-wife, leaving the courthouse today after testifying in the explosive wrongful death suit against AEG. Jackson's family says the company is responsible for the pop star's death because it hired and failed to supervise Dr. Conrad Murray. Rowe choked up as she told the jury about Jackson's fear of pain. CNN's Ted Rowlands is outside the LA courthouse for us and joins me now with the very latest. Ted, a pretty dramatic and emotional performance there from Debbie Rowe. What did you make of what happened?
Well, you know what? Frankly, it was sad, Piers, the story that she told, and that was of competing doctors trying to give Michael Jackson as much pain medication as they could and trying to one-up each other during the time period after he was recovering from that 1984 Pepsi commercial debacle where he burned his head all the way through the rest of his life. She also testified that she saw in Munich, Germany during the 1997 Victory Tour Michael Jackson getting propofol in a hotel room, saying it looked like a surgical suite, getting it just for sleep 2 consecutive nights or 2 separate nights during that tour. And she talked about his drug use and how low he got during this period. It all comes back to these doctors that she says were taking advantage of him. She did the one thing she was supposed to for AEG, who put her on the stand, and that was to describe that event in Germany. They wanted her to tell the jury that Jackson and Jackson himself had plotted this, and they had no idea he had this problem before hiring him before this concert series, of course, which he was preparing for before he died.
Ted Rowlands, thank you very much indeed. So who should AEG be? Should the AEG be blamed for Michael Jackson's death? That's a question for Tom Mesereau. He's a defence attorney who represented Jackson in his molestation case and joins me now. Tom, a pretty fascinating day there with Debbie Rowe, but in the end, was a picture built that helps AEG in the sense of Jackson's clear long-time use of propofol and all these doctors, not just Conrad Murray, queuing up to supply it for him?
I think it helped Catherine Jackson and Michael's children, Piers. Remember, both sides are trying to prove that Michael had an addiction to painkillers and prescription medications. The plaintiffs, Catherine and Michael's kids, are trying to say that AEG knew of this because one of their executives was his tour manager twice during the 90s and actually hired an addiction specialist to help him after he became addicted following the Pepsi commercial. The defense is claiming that he was addicted to prescription medications because they want to show 2 things. They want to say he was responsible for his own demise, and number 2, if they're held liable, they want to keep the damages low. They want to say that addiction to painkillers and medication lowered the value of his career, lowered whatever expectations there were about what he could earn. So they're both trying to prove he was addicted. I think she helped Catherine and Michael's children. I think what she described is something that AEG, in my opinion, had to know about because of their constant involvement with Michael Jackson, particularly that executive who was his tour manager on 2 tours. So I think AEG is going to be hard-pressed to say, we never heard this was going on, we knew nothing about it, it's news to us, particularly when they said they had investigated Conrad Murray to see if he was suitable and then changed their position, said, we said that, but we really didn't do it.
But if Conrad Murray is simply the latest in a long line of doctors who've been happy to supply the propofol to Michael Jackson, and in the end we're talking about a 50-year-old man here, not a young teenager in Michael Jackson, somebody who clearly was very in charge of his life in many ways, if he was just using Conrad Murray as he had many other doctors to give him what he wanted, does that not in a way help AEG's case too?
Well, but that's not what I think happened. I think what AEG did was they were willing to take big risks to get big returns. They knew they could make a fortune if Michael Jackson's comeback was successful. And what I think they mistakenly did looking backward is they agreed to take responsibility for Conrad Murray. They agreed to pay him $150,000 a month. They sent him an agreement to sign where they talked about the obligations they would have with respect to him. And they sent emails just reminding everyone who was paying Conrad Murray and suggesting that they were putting pressure on Conrad Murray to make him perform. So I think the problem is that they took some risks, including taking responsibility for Murray as a price to pay for getting him on a comeback plan that would have been the biggest entertainment comeback in history.
So right now, dollar for dollar, Tom, your money would be on AEG losing this case?
That's what I think. Now, I have not been in the courtroom. I'm not allowed in there because I'm on the plaintiff's witness list. But I think Brian Panish, the plaintiff's lawyer, is the best civil plaintiff's lawyer in America. I've often said nobody else in Los Angeles comes close. What I've heard, he's doing a bang-up job. And I think in the end, Catherine and the kids are going to win. And I think they're going to win big because what Michael Jackson could have earned the rest of his career, I think exceeds $1 billion.
Tom Mesereau, fascinating as always. Good to talk to you. Thank you. Coming next, the real secrets from Bradley Manning. We know